History often remembers its heroes as bold, confident figures who always seemed destined for greatness. Ulysses S. Grant was the opposite. He did not chase glory. He did not believe himself extraordinary. And yet, through persistence, discipline, and an almost stubborn refusal to quit, he became one of the most consequential figures in American history, both on the battlefield and in the White House. Grant's life is not the story of natural brilliance or effortless success. It is the story of endurance, a childhood far from greatness. Born on April 27, 1822, in Point Pleasant, Ohio, Grant entered the world as Hiram Ulysses Grant, the son of a practical, hard-working tanner and a quiet, deeply religious mother. His childhood was shaped not by ambition, but by labor. He disliked the tannery, avoided it whenever possible, and instead gravitated toward farm work, especially caring for horses. Long before he commanded armies, Grant had already developed a calm confidence around powerful forces larger than himself. His path to the United States Military Academy at West Point was not his own idea. His father arranged the appointment, and even then, a clerical error altered Grant's identity forever. He arrived as Ulysses S. Grant, a name he would eventually accept, joking that the S stood for nothing. What began as a bureaucratic mistake would become one of the most recognizable names in American history. At West Point, Grant was not exceptional by reputation. He dressed sloppily, walked with a slouch, and rarely stood out socially. But beneath the surface, he showed quiet strengths. He excelled in horsemanship, demonstrated strong mathematical ability, and spent much of his free time reading literature rather than chasing military prestige. He graduated in 1843, ranked in the middle of his class, hardly a future legend on paper. War, disillusionment, and moral conflict. Grant's early military service coincided with the Mexican-American War, where he served under General Zachary Taylor and Winfield Scott. He displayed courage and competence in battle, earning brevet promotions for bravery. Yet despite his performance, Grant later described the war as deeply troubling, calling it unjust and morally wrong. He believed the conflict expanded slavery rather than serving national honor, a reflection that would later shape his views during the Civil War. This moral discomfort never made Grant a loud critic, but it sharpened his sense of responsibility. He learned logistics, supply management, and battlefield coordination, skills that later became decisive. More importantly, he learned what war actually cost: failure, poverty, and humiliation. After the war, Grant's life unraveled. Isolated from his family on remote western posts, struggling financially and deeply unhappy, he resigned from the Army in 1854. What followed was a decade of failure. Farming collapsed. Business partnerships failed. Real estate ventures went nowhere. At one point, Grant was so desperate he sold firewood on the streets of St. Louis. These years permanently shaped his character. Grant learned humility not as a theory, but as survival. He learned patience, self-restraint, and how to function without recognition. When the Civil War erupted in 1861, he did not enter it as a confident general, but as a man who had already lost everything: the Civil War and the rise of an unlikely leader. When war broke out, Grant volunteered immediately. He helped organize troops in Illinois and quickly demonstrated something rare among Union commanders: decisiveness. While others hesitated, Grant acted. His breakthrough came in February 1862 with the capture of Fort Donelson. When Confederate forces requested surrender terms, Grant's reply was blunt and uncompromising: unconditional surrender. The victory electrified the North and transformed Grant overnight from an unknown officer into a national figure. From there, his rise accelerated. Despite heavy losses at Shiloh and public criticism, Grant refused to retreat psychologically. He absorbed failure, learned from mistakes, and pressed forward. His relentless campaign against Vicksburg in 1863, marked by bold maneuvers and logistical ingenuity, split the Confederacy in two and secured Union control of the Mississippi River. Grant did not win by brilliance alone. He won by refusing to stop. Commanding all Union armies. In 1864, Grant was promoted to lieutenant general and placed in command of all Union forces. His strategy was brutally simple: apply constant pressure everywhere. While Sherman advanced through Georgia, Grant locked Confederate General Robert E. Lee into a grinding war of attrition in Virginia. The fighting was costly. Battles like Cold Harbor stained Grant's reputation with accusations of recklessness. But strategically, the approach worked. Grant understood what others avoided admitting: the Union's advantage lay in resources and manpower, and the war would only end when that advantage was fully applied. In April 1865, Lee surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse. Grant treated his defeated enemy with dignity, allowing Confederate soldiers to return home with their horses. He saw victory not as humiliation, but as closure. From war hero to president, Grant emerged from the war as the most respected man in the country. His popularity carried him into politics almost by inevitability. In 1868, he was elected the 18th President of the United States, campaigning under the simple but powerful slogan, "Let us have peace." As president, Grant faced challenges no battlefield could prepare him for. Reconstruction, racial violence, economic instability, and widespread corruption plagued his administration. Grant personally supported civil rights and used federal power to combat the Ku Klux Klan, helping enforce the Reconstruction amendments. However, his loyalty to friends and subordinates often blinded him to corruption within his government. Grant was not a skilled politician. He trusted too easily. Yet his intentions were consistently honorable. His presidency reflected the same strengths and weaknesses that defined his military career: moral seriousness, persistence, and an unwavering belief in national unity. Final years and lasting legacy. After leaving office in 1877, Grant embarked on a world tour that turned him into an international celebrity. He was welcomed by kings, presidents, and heads of state across Europe and Asia. Yet behind the public admiration, his personal life once again collapsed financially. A trusted business partner defrauded him, wiping out his savings and leaving his family vulnerable. Soon after, Grant was diagnosed with terminal throat cancer. Faced with limited time and determined to provide for his family, he began writing his personal memoirs. He worked through immense pain, often writing until he physically could not continue. The project became an act of discipline, pride, and love, rather than ambition. Completed just days before his death, the memoirs were an extraordinary success. Widely praised for their clarity, honesty, and lack of self-glorification, they secured his family's financial future and earned Grant a place among America's greatest historical writers. Grant died on July 23, 1885, at the age of 63. More than 1 million people attended his funeral procession in New York City, a final testament to the respect he commanded across a divided nation. Why Grant still matters. Ulysses S. Grant's greatness does not lie in perfection. It lies in persistence. He failed more than most leaders. He doubted himself. He struggled privately. Yet when history demanded resolve, he delivered. Grant's life proves a quiet truth. Success does not require brilliance. It requires endurance. He was not the loudest voice in the room. He was the last man standing. And sometimes, that is enough to change a nation. History isn't shaped by loud confidence or perfect lives. It's shaped by people who refuse to quit when everything goes wrong. Ulysses S. Grant's story reminds us that persistence, integrity, and endurance can outweigh talent and luck. If this kind of deep, powerful history inspires you, like and subscribe for more stories that actually matter.